Breiden, I got to tell you, my brother, you've been making waves about this fast food stuff. What has been the biggest thing that you've seen since talking about fast food? And what is your top 5, by the way? What's your top 5 best fast food restaurants?
So it depends, right? I think it all comes down to whether you're looking at like a quick burger or if you're looking at just like fast food chains in general. Because if you're talking about fast food chains as a whole, then you start to put in like fried chicken or if this place has the best fries. But if we're going to go solely off of, 5 fast food chains in general, I think number 1 for me is McDonald's.
Okay.
It's a staple. It's an original. It's got to be in your Mount Rushmore of fast food. If it's not, then you're probably too young or you don't know good food. Number 2 for me is Whataburger. I've said it. I've stood on this hill for a long time.
Okay.
I'm willing to go down swinging for it. Number 3 is for sure Popeyes. I love Popeyes. Good Louisiana kitchen right there.
Right.
Gotta have some spicy thighs and Cajun fries. That's what I like.
No doubt, brother.
Number 4 for me is a toss up, right? Between now it depends if you're like a true burger guy or you could go, I want a little bit of everything, but I kind of like Five Guys because I'm a big burger guy and I love a good place that has a good burger. And I think Five Guys is when they cook the patties and I always go get 5 patties on my burger at Five Guys. It's a game changer. Their fries are also good. And then I'm probably gonna end the top 5 with this is a tough one, but I don't know. It's up for grabs. Those are my top 4.
Well, that's good. I mean, look, as long as you didn't have In-N-Out in that thing, we're good. What's going on with you and In-N-Out? I see the disappointment in your eyes as I talk to you.
No, it hurts, because it's overly hyped. I don't get the hype for it. And for me, I'm going to relate it to football, right? In football, if you're a one-trick pony, you better be a damn good one-trick pony. And for a place like In-N-Out to be a one-trick pony for burgers and drinks, it doesn't hit like it should. I said it. Their bread is like cardboard, and their patties are like the size of an elf working at the North Pole. You know what I mean? It's not going to get. It's going to take 364 days for that thing to get done for you. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like if you're going to be a one-trick pony, like a Five Guys, or you can go in and get a burger, it's got to be a darn good burger. And so that's why In-N-Out just doesn't get it done for me. You know what I mean?
I feel you. Look, the only thing, and look, I know a lot of people, especially my wife, is going to probably stab me in the neck. As long as you didn't have Chick-fil-A in the top 4, me and you are going to be okay. Now, Raising Cane's, it's whatever. I'll throw one in there to you, and we'll get to some more LSU stuff. I know they're firing it in here, but Sonic, man, I'm a sucker for Sonic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the burger, like I'm a burger guy too, man, and fries, it's whatever. But man, when you get a hamburger from Sonic, man, there's just nothing better and more classic than a good burger.
See, here's what I was going to do with my 5th spot. It was either going to be Sonic or Wendy's. And I like Sonic because Sonic is just diverse, right? Happy hour at Sonic, you can't go wrong with a Route 44. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no doubt.
I get a strawberry vanilla Dr. Pepper. It just hits different. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, dude. By the way, I got to tell you, my best friend told me about like all the different combinations of Dr. Pepper flavors that Sonic had. Changed my world. Just completely changed my world. So
elite.
Look, keep doing what you're doing with that because I'm not gonna lie, I don't go in there and speak because I'll lose my mind. But I think you're on to something here. Breiden Fehoko, defensive tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers. Last time I kept saying San Diego Chargers. Breiden, when you joined us, it was difficult. Man, look, we got the Super Bowl going on this week. I don't know how much you're watching it, or watching the coverage of it. But look, you got guys like JaMarr Chase that you're teammates with, Joe Burrow that you're teammates with. You had them play in the AFC Championship game against a team that's in your division, in the Kansas City with Clyde and Darrell and all those guys. Man, I know that you want to be there, and I know that that's a goal for you. But, man, when you see those guys and what all of your teammates from 2019 are doing, what's the first thing that you think about?
Not surprised. It's what we built, in 2019. It was just our culture. I talk about it on Twitter. I talk about it on social media all the time. I think culture lasts a lot longer than quick wins and quick talent. We built the winning culture down there in Baton Rouge, and those are characteristics that we carried amongst our teams wherever we went our own ways. Joe with the Bengals, Clyde with the Chiefs. Everywhere. Guys, Rashard with Arizona, and Christian in Tennessee. You can go down the whole list.
Right.
But what we built was just a hardworking, head down culture that, we wanted to set the foundation for. And like when everybody goes, man, did you guys had JaMarr and Jay Jets, did you guys ever think they were going to be this good? And when they asked me in the locker room, I said, yeah, I saw it every day in practice. It doesn't surprise me what they're doing now in the NFL. People kind of be like, oh man, like, dang, this Joe Burrow guy is taking the league by storm. Well, I saw Joe put in the work, every day during the summer. So it doesn't surprise me, and super proud. I always, we always text back and forth in our group messages, or if we're texting one-on-one, and we just share just times about, how we're just grateful for how far we've come, what we were able to do, and, we're just proud of each other's success. So I'm so happy to see those guys on that pedestal this weekend.
It's interesting, Brain, that you talk about that, because look, we've talked about this on this show before, and I know that it was kind of like tongue in cheek a little bit, right? Like meaning it was kind of the LSU 2019 high, but now that it's kind of getting for real with a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys are taking over. Look, you're having a lot of success where you're at. Okay. And so when you see this, is there something in the locker room, like take us behind, like in your locker room, when you just talked about guys asking you those questions about JaMarr and things like that, do you ever have that debate with the guys? Hey, 2019 was the best college football team of all time. You gotta stamp it now, right? Like it's stamped.
It's stamped, man, of course. and there's conversations every week, even when LSU was 5-5, the year after the Natty and even the down year they had this year, I'm still gonna, whatever we did, I always tell people, I just said it's just different. The level of dominance we played at and how deep we were as a team, I don't think you can match that. And I tell people, I say the closest team that could probably match our talent, and not talent, but in a game, if we were to play, was probably 2020 Alabama. And I say this because it's very similar styles of play, explosive offense, defenses that get turnovers, not really stingy defenses, but stout enough to the point where we could get our offense back the ball if we needed to.
Right.
A lot of people, when I tweeted, a week ago, and I said people are still questioning if we're the best team or not, people will bring up Texas, Vince Young. People brought up the Miami Hurricanes in the early days. And don't get me wrong, this is not disrespecting those teams. Those teams are really great teams, right? Vince Young, USC teams, Reggie Bush, Lendale White. You can name, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Michael Irvin. You can name all these guys from Miami, back in the day, Cortez Kennedy. But when you look at the style of play they were doing back then, those guys are playing against quarterbacks that were doing 12-step drops under center. Like,
right.
No offense to guys like, Warren Sapp and stuff, but,
right.
You're going against an offense that, the quarterback takes a 12-step drop underneath center. That doesn't happen nowadays. Joe was getting the ball and releasing it in like 1.98 seconds every snap.
That's
by the time these guys are trying to run a pass rush stunt or trying to get up the field, they're gasping for air on the 5th, 6th play of the drive in an up-tempo offense. It's just a different style of play compared to how it was back then. That's why I say we are the best team ever, because we were able to play at a high level for an elite amount of time for 15 games and no losses.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Braden, even going to your career, just talking about you specifically, how much did that help you transition into going with the Chargers? Man, look, that entire defensive line y'all had. Look what they're doing. Now Glenn's going into the NFL. He's going to more than likely be drafted, but Braden, there's a chance that 5 guys, maybe even, 6 guys from that defensive line that you were a part of after the end of this draft is about to be drafted. When you talk about depth and you think about it, you got Kayvon Chasson, you have you have Rashard Lawrence, you have Tyler Shelvin. Now you got the younger guys when you were there, Neil Farrell, Glenn Logan. When you look at it now and life is starting to play out, when you look back at that room specifically, what do you think about?
I think about, and it's crazy. I could text you videos, but I was going through my camera roll the other day, and there was a video of all of us. We were up at the indoor, and it was a Friday night during the summer, and it was 10:30. There was nobody there, and we had one of the strength coaches. He gave us a key, so we could always go in, hit bags, do whatever we wanted whenever we wanted. So the timestamp is on my phone. It's like 10:30, 11 at night, and we're just in there just grinding. Like there's a video camera in the indoor that catches everything, and Rashard's hitting bags. Me and Neil, we're doing get-offs. Then after that, we get done. We're running hundreds to finish off the night. It's a Friday night. Everybody's in Tigerland. On the D-line, we're out there just grinding. And then as we leave, here come the quarterbacks and the receivers ready to do some 7-on-7 routes, and it's 11 at night. You know what I'm saying? That's when I knew we had something going on special. Mm-hmm. During the summer, when regular college students were living their life, we had a set destination and goal that nothing was going to stop us this year. And it showed later on that fall when we just started mollywopping people on every Saturday.
Bro, because look, I don't, as a part of the media availabilities, I don't go to a lot of games. We do the post game, so it's really difficult for me to be there. But I made an exception. So talking about even the Georgia State game, like I'm down there on the sideline, stay there the whole game, and like the time frame was off, and Joe was off by like 3 minutes, and he's yelling at everybody. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, dude, calm down. And like we're passing by each other, we make eye contact, and it gives me that little Joe Burrow smirk. You know what I mean? Like the little small. I'm like, dude, chill out. And it's funny when you like these small stories, and now you see all this going on. Breiden Fehoko is our guest. We do have a question for you for our good friend Pooh Bear. He says, #Ask B-Man, what was the deciding factor in choosing LSU when you left Texas Tech? And look, Breiden, a lot of LSU fans are going to ask that because look at the transfer portal now. And look, you built that connection. You were talking about that connection with being in the indoor with all those guys. But now that you see the portal, and what was your number one, your decision to leave, but number two, like Pooh said, to come to LSU?
I think that's a great question. And I think I have a great answer. What made me choose LSU, leaving Texas Tech? Leaving Texas Tech was really tough, right? Because I made all Big 12 as a freshman All-American. I started every game there for 2 years. But where I am right now in my career in the NFL, I pretty much owe it to LSU as far as my development as an athlete and as a defensive lineman. If I stayed at Texas Tech, I have no doubt in my mind I get drafted, which is really good. It's, every kid in college wants to have that dream and goal. But going to LSU, taking the harder route, taught me how to mature and taught me how to develop as a man and as a player on and off the field. And what that did for me was those 3 years at LSU set me up for longevity in the NFL, working with Coach Pete, working with Coach O, Coach Aranda, Dennis Johnson, Bill Johnson, all these great guys, Tommy Moffitt, that Jack Marucci, that surrounded every athlete there, that gave them all the tools and necessities to succeed. I took advantage of that. And as like every player that went to LSU did, that has a long career, the tools you're given at LSU is just unmatched. And I'm being biased here because I only went to LSU. I didn't go to multiple schools.
Right.
But what I was given as far as the tools to put in my toolbox to succeed in life was filled by the time I left LSU.
Breiden, it's interesting that you talk about that because it's so interesting to talk about guys. Look, when I was in college and I played, there wasn't the portal, right? And so it was a different time. And I always wonder, like, hey man, if it was could I have transferred somewhere? And I can only imagine like the decision and the tough decisions that you had to make and what you were feeling. And look, we're all glad that you came to LSU. We're super excited that you came to LSU. But that's just interesting to hear someone that's been in the portal and gone through that and chose LSU behind that. Look, I do want to get to one more or two more, Breiden, before we get you out of here. Look, the Super Bowl. I don't know. Are you in LA currently? Are you?
I'm back in my home in Texas.
Okay. So I was going to see if you were in LA, if you were going to go to the Super Bowl, but since you're in Texas, I guess not. Let's focus on that. You've probably watched both of these teams, I would assume, a little bit. What do you think the Super Bowl comes down to? And I don't want to ask you who you're rooting for, but I got to have a feeling. But how do you see this game? What are you feeling?
Well, we played both teams this year. We played the Rams in the preseason, and we played Cincinnati later on in the season. And I think what both teams do well is both defenses create turnovers for their offense in the right time. Taking away from what both quarterbacks do for their offense, because both quarterbacks are elite. Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. Joe is a phenomenal quarterback. I think it boils down to, it's so cliche saying this and it sounds so basic, but honestly, who can just protect better on Sunday and who minimizes mistakes? Because that's all the playoffs are, right? I don't think anybody, if you just read on paper, the Cincinnati Bengals are playing in the Super Bowl. Nobody really expects that. People expect the Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills versus the Green Bay Packers, something like a juggernaut matchup. But if you watch Cincinnati, in crucial moments along the playoffs this year and in their season, they were able to get turnovers and they were able to score and make plays when they needed to. Other teams do that, but they do it in the wrong times, right? Like Kansas City goes up 21-3, could have went up 24-3, got greedy, went for a touchdown, and now it's 21-3. Cincinnati kind of has that stop with Eli Apple, before halftime, and now they got a little momentum going. You go up 24-3, that's a lot different. That's a 21-point difference between 17 and or 21-3 and 24-3, So I think both teams, both defenses, it's really going to come down to whoever creates more turnovers this weekend.
One last one, just to kind of add on that. I didn't want to ask you, but is there a team that you're leaning towards? Do you think that Joe and JaMarr are able to take it over, or do you see the Odell Beckham LSU side and Andrew Whitworth side? If you had to bet or do you can't bet. So let me backtrack. Who are you just placing your trust in? How about that?
So it's crazy, right? My trust is it's definitely in Joey B, right? Because Joey B is a proven winner. I mean, it's hard to come back 21 against Kansas City and Arrowhead. But opposite of Joey B is probably one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game of football.
Right.
And as we all know, Joey B doesn't have the best, protection up front, which is going to be a given. Not everybody has the best, like as a whole team. Every NFL team doesn't have the best strengths, whether it's DBs, wide receivers, and Cincinnati, I feel like lacks offensive line strength. Really great skill position players, but they fought a lot of injuries this year, and I think if they can protect Joe, and it's been proven that if you give that guy a decent amount of time in the pocket, he makes magic happen. And it's crazy because you have a guy like Odell, what he's done this year, the road he's traveled from Cleveland now to the Rams, and a guy like Andrew Whitworth, the oldest player to start, at
so
tackle in the NFL.
So wild, right.
You're going to be happy for whoever wins on Sunday, and I won't be surprised if the Bengals do win, and I won't be surprised if the Rams do win. Both teams well deserved.
I lied. One last one. You're in the same division as Mahomes. You've played against Mahomes multiple times. I think 4 times, right?
Four in my career, yeah.
So what's it like playing against him? I mean, look, Joe was able to battle him twice this season and they won. But Breiden, let's call it spade a spade. The way that that man could throw the football and the way that he scrambles, it's just uncanny. What do you do in that situation? Because look, I'm an O-lineman. I know what I do. I just kind of let him. I get out of his way sometimes. But what do you do on that situation?
Well, I'll tell you what teams are doing is the market's going to edge rushers, right? With good quarterbacks, you would think, we got to go get but the best way you stop these quarterbacks is to go get elite rushers, to put them out of 2nd and 6 situations and 3rd and 4th situations.
Right.
You put a guy like Joe, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes in the 3rd and 4. I mean, they're just licking at the chops at your DBs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have the best DBs out there, but what they do is you got to put them behind the sticks. You can't let them get ahead of the sticks. You can't let them fiddle with you, because if they do, it's a long game and it gets real, irritating in there because you're like, bro, we can't get a stop. And when you look at it, it's like, oh, they're 3rd and 3 again, and Pat Mahomes is running an RPO and he's flinging a drag route to Tyreek Hill and he's going for 30. It's like, come on, man,
I know. I think I would feel that the biggest letdown is when he pump fakes like a 30-yard go route and then he dinks it to Travis Kelce for 30 yards. That's got to be the most gut-wrenching thing.
It's crazy. It's crazy because, I've played with really great quarterbacks in my career.
Right.
Early in my career, I played with Pat at Texas Tech, and I played with Joe at LSU, and now I get to play with Justin with the Chargers. And I forgot who I was talking to about it, but I said, man, it's when you look at all 3 quarterbacks, I think what their best asset is the fact that the systems they're in really mold and have really become accustomed to the type of player they are. Kansas City changed their dynamics for Pat Mahomes because he's a generational quarterback.
Right.
The Chargers, we have changed our offense based around Justin Herbert's strength because he's a generational quarterback. The Bengals let Joe run that offense because he's a generational quarterback. And that's really such a great thing about this game of football is you're able to see young talent and young quarterbacks like that come field generals and become, elite coordinators of the game on the field at the same time as playing. And I'm sitting here watching from the sideline, and I'm sitting here lining up opposite of Pat and all these guys. And I'm like, you have to be able to lock in because these guys are so great. Like we talked about, what do you do? You can't stop a moving train at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
But you can kind of put things along the way to kind of slow it down and give yourself time to get out of the way and hopefully let that moving train die down over time. And so you're not going to come into a game and just try to shut out Pat Mahomes. You're not going to try to come into a game and shut out Justin Herbert. They're going to get theirs. That's just the type of guys they are. Joe Burrow is going to get his, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they're going to get theirs. You just got to hope that you get the certain stops, like I said earlier, for the Super Bowl in that perfect timing during the game to where you can give it back to your quarterback and hopefully they make something happen.
Braden, that's so wild that you said that. Playing with those 3 quarterbacks. Really and truthfully, you could have the debate for the 3 best young quarterbacks in the league, and you played with them. But bro, you've had a life. You're only 2 years in the NFL, and you've already had a life.
Yeah.
But that's why we love you, man. Go follow Braden at Breiden Fehoko 4 on Twitter. Braden, as always, man, you're absolutely fantastic. That's why everybody loves you, man. Tell everybody what you're doing. I know you talked about maybe doing like the little podcast, but what are you doing now that everybody can be in tune with and look out for?
Man, honestly, I'm just trying to interact more, with the fans, with a lot of my followers, trying to get more into a way that people can see more of my personal life. Mm-hmm. I think most of my high school career, most of my college career, and even part of my rookie year, I was so dialed in on football, football this, football that, and I want to post a football picture here or a football post there. I kind of want people to see more along the personal sides of Breiden Fehoko, like what I'm cooking or what are some of my favorite likes, my dislikes, what are my interests, what I'm up to today, what are my followers up to today. Because I think that goes a lot farther when you're done playing football. People will love to relate to you as a person more than what you do as an athlete. And that's something that resembles with me. And just doing a lot more of the broadcasting journalism side, doing more interviews, doing more podcasts with my friends, doing a lot more talk shows like we are now. Things where I can kind of prep myself, give myself hours, give myself repetitions to where I can get behind a camera and a microphone and get comfortable doing it because this is something I want to do one day. And so that's just kind of what I've been up to this offseason, just kind of just chillaxing and just giving everybody a little ride of what Breiden Fehoko was like off the field.
We'll talk about that. I got an interesting thought, but nevertheless, we'll talk about it. Thank you, my friend. You've been fantastic as always. Thank you so much. Hey, tell your dad I said hello. My man's always giving me big shout-outs. I love him to death. Every time I used to see him at the games, he always used to give me a big – by the way, don't tell him. He almost broke my back. Man could squeeze, bro.
You're about to make him go hit the gym tonight.
Bro, just as long as he don't break my back again. Anyway, thank you, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it, Blake. Have a good day, brother.
You too.